Hey kids, welcome to class. So, have you ever heard the shoot the monks principle? It's basically the idea that in Dungeons & Dragons, you as the DM should make tactically unwise decisions during combat. The prime example being the monk class. If you're unaware, monks in Dungeons & Dragons can catch bullets. Oh my god, why would you even do that? I didn't even see it coming. Oh god. Anyway, in D&D, monks can normally catch bullets. And in Dungeons & Dragons, that probably means that as a DM, you don't want to shoot at your monks. Because if you do, they're just going to catch whatever you shoot at them. It's pointless, right? But if you have every ranged enemy completely ignore the monk, well, the monk doesn't get to do that cool thing. That's essentially what the shoot the monks principle is. However, on DM Academy, I saw some people asking, what about the player's end? I mean, seriously, the DM is putting in all this work to make this game happen. You're balancing the combat. You're designing the battle map. You're the one pushing the story along. You're probably the guy doing all the scheduling. It's so much work. Can't the players help you out by just acting stupid every now and then? I mean, seriously, how many of you guys have run a combat where you thought to yourself, man, if the players were just a little bit dumber, this combat would be so much more fun? I know everybody has had that feeling before, and I thought it was a really interesting question, and it was the top question on DM Academy for a while. It still is as of recording this video, so people are interested in talking about this, and I have my own thoughts. Not just on the question of whether or not the players need to follow their own shoot the monks principle and make dumb decisions during D&D combat just to cater to the DM, but also on the shoot the monks principle in general. So without further ado, y'all, let's get started. Why would you do that? Oh god, I couldn't even see it coming. I'm sorry. I got carried away. My bad. Okay, so anyway, the shoot the monks principle. Some of you guys might be disagreeing with it from the get-go. I've seen my fair share of people who just don't like the idea that they need to cater to the players in this way. I mean, we're all just treating them with kid gloves if we follow the shoot the monks principle. I mean, their class features don't need to be used in the game. I mean, guys, come on. I don't think most people have that extreme of an opinion, but a lot of DMs feel like certain class features are way too powerful and therefore the DM needs to avoid them at all costs. Like, another example on the monk class is Stunning Strike. I know I, as a DM, was terrified of Stunning Strike, and maybe during one or two boss fights, I maybe fudged the rolls so that the monk wouldn't stun the boss and the boss would get annihilated. I know some DMs have thought like this. They don't want to just get smushed by their player characters. However, guys, this game is supposed to be fun for the players too. They're supposed to be the heroes. And if they earn the win, they earn the win. We need to make that victory feel worthwhile. We need to make it challenging, but that doesn't mean you need to cheat. Player characters have those features on their stat sheet for a reason. I'm not trying to say none of them are overpowered. However, if you really need to balance adjust a game, then you have to do that out of game. You can't incognito do it by essentially making a feature entirely worthless by ignoring the monk when you're shooting at them, or having every single enemy be immune to fire damage if you have a pyromaniac sorcerer. Those are really lame solutions and almost feel passive-aggressive. On top of that, look, as the Dungeon Master, come on, guys, you have clairvoyance, okay? You are the god of this world. You know all the features of your player characters, but from a lore perspective, your enemies don't. They don't have a reason to completely avoid the monk when shooting arrows, other than that you don't want the monk to use their really cool class feature. Not every enemy in your world is going to have fire immunity. That would be stupid. I'm sorry if a fireball happy sorcerer ruined one of your main combat encounters, but responding by giving everything immunity to that spell is a stupid solution and doesn't even make sense in the game. Beyond that, out of the game, if you really wanted to crush your player characters, guys, it's easy. Like, seriously, you're god of this world. You can just have rocks fall and kill them all, but that's not going to be worth it for anyone, is it? We've already talked about this in the previous video where I reacted to Ginny D's difficult D&D game, but when we're building out a tough D&D encounter or a tough encounter for any TTRPG, we need to make it worthwhile. We need to make it feel at least a little bit fair. And on top of that, I think the joy of beating those kind of encounters don't just come from the how do you want to do this at the end, where the players have their epic victory. I think it also comes from the little moments throughout the combat. Some of the hypest moments in Critical Role Campaign 2 are when Beauregard gets a chance to use her stunning strike or catch an arrow, to use her class features the way they were meant to be used. D&D can often be extremely samey with combat. It's one of the main problems I have with it. You just roll the attack roll on almost every martial class, and it gets pretty boring. Even most spellcasters will eventually get tired of spamming the same AoE spells over and over and over again. So cutting out the unique features like Stunning Strike, like catching projectiles, like certain meta magics on the Sorcerer class, that is going to make the game more boring. It's going to make it feel more samey, and it's not going to encourage your players to want to continue your campaign. And also, I'm going to be completely honest with you. If you can't balance your D&D combat around certain features like catching projectiles, or if you can't have an honest conversation with your players if a build is actually overpowered, I'm going to be real, man. I don't think the problem is the players or the build. I think the problem is you and your ability to be a dungeon master. You should be able to have a conversation with your players about these things. If you need to have a passive-aggressive solution to this sort of problem, you're not a very good DM. Now, I think I've pretty thoroughly established that I agree with the shoot the monks principle. I do think DMs should allow players to do their cool things, even if that means making tactically unwise decisions. What about the player end, though? I think it's a bit different. Okay, so on Reddit, a lot of people were asking, what is the equivalent of the shoot the monks principle for players, and does it even apply? I suppose if we were to translate it the most literal sense possible, it would be that players in combat, or maybe even during roleplay, will make decisions that they think are unwise from a tactical standpoint. Maybe attacking a monster that's probably immune to fire damage with a fire attack. You know, just so the DM can have that epic moment of going, oh, don't even bother rolling for damage. It's immune to fire. Like, I mean, come on, that's cool, right? But I don't think it really applies to players. A few reasons. Number one, remember that DM clairvoyance thing I mentioned earlier? The DM has knowledge of all the player builds, so it's basically good sportsmanship for you not to exploit that knowledge to beat them. Well, the players don't have that knowledge. I understand that some players are also dungeon masters, so maybe they read Curse of Strahd Advance and know some of the plot twists, or have the monster manual, so they could look up a troll's true weakness, but again, ideally, players aren't doing that sort of thing. That kind of metagaming is another problem entirely, and we'll touch on that later. But the point is that players, ideally, do not have this clairvoyant knowledge of the game like the Dungeon Master does. They don't really have to tie themselves to that sportsmanship, also because they're working with a more limited package. The DM can kind of do whatever as long as it is vaguely within the rules. If their trash mobs are getting slaughtered by the player characters, they can summon in a wave of reinforcements. The players can't do that. They're limited to the features on their sheet and what the Dungeon Master allows them to do. That adherence to sportsmanship is way less loose for the player characters. Now, that's not to say that there's no sportsmanship at all. On top of all the things I've already said, DMs, like I said earlier, have a lot of power. This doesn't just apply to sportsmanship, it also applies to making the encounter very difficult. If you want a difficult encounter as the Dungeon Master, you shouldn't need to rely on your players being stupid. If that is a baseline requirement for your encounter to be good, I don't think it's a very good encounter. You have ways to make combat challenging. We already talked about this in the previous GDD episode, we'll link it in the cards. I love hardcore D&D, but I don't need to force my players to abandon cool stuff about their character or make dumb choices in order for those combats to be difficult. I'm the Dungeon Master, for God's sakes, alright? If I want to make something hard, I will. So, in essence, I think players should be as smart as they want to be with their characters and be free to make tactically wise choices. They don't need to follow the same shoot the monks principle. Now, I do want to add a caveat. This only applies to players who are playing the game in good faith. If somebody joins my game and I say, hey, I want you to be as smart as you want with your character, I want you to make tactical decisions, and that player character responds with, okay, and then creates a super exploitative build with a cantrip interpretation that means that they insta-kill every enemy by casting Create or Destroy Water in their lungs or some crap like that, that's not good sportsmanship anymore, is it? People who do these kind of cheese builds are just as annoying to me as DMs who want to abandon the really cool class features of their player characters. Both are irritating and will make the game worse. When you are acting as smart as your character would allow, when you are making tactical choices in combat, when you're building your character in character creation, I'm assuming you're not trying to cheese the game. I just want to add that caveat since no doubt it's going to come up. Anyway, that should be the end, right? Players, generally speaking, as long as they're not being cheesy about it, don't need to follow the shoot the monks principle. Okay, that's it? Well, not really, because I do think they should follow a principle, and it's just a different one, though still tangentially related. Shoot the Monks is more like a hard skill. It's focused in the mechanical aspects of TTRPGs. The player equivalent, though, is the opposite. It's a soft skill. Focus more on the roleplay. And that is Take the Bait. Take the Bait is the player equivalent of Shoot the Monks, though it is not something that's based in combat. It's not about making tactically unwise decisions in a fight and abandoning cool class features. It's about taking plot hooks that the DM presents to you. Look, as a dungeon master, I love it when my players actually engage in the game. And when players make their own fun, that's cool too. But as a DM, I'm working really hard to create a narrative. And it is on me to create a narrative that my players are interested in. Luckily for me, that has always been the case. However, I'm sure there have been at least a few times where my players have decided, hey, this looks really important. I don't know if my character would actually do this, but I'll do it because I want to engage in the story. That is Take the Bait. Now, I don't think you need to go to extremes with this. I don't think you need to cater to your dungeon masters every single whim and take plot hooks that are blatantly stupid or meant to get you killed. But at the same time, when you're playing the game, if you're not engaging in any of the plot hooks, I really have to ask why you're there in the first place. The point of TTRPGs is to build a collaborative narrative. And if the DM is doing their part, putting plot hooks forward towards you, and you're not doing your part of taking any of them, then that is a major, major problem. Yes, sometimes it may not make sense for your player character to go into the burning building to save those people. Maybe it's logical that your player character would run away and let the authorities handle it, but if your DM told you at the top that this campaign is about heroic heroes saving people heroically, and then you go and do that, that's really dumb, right? You're not engaging in the game the DM designed. And at that point, why did you even join in the first place? So yeah, players don't need to be dumb in combat, but when it comes to engaging in the story, they should have the same sportsmanship their DM does when they are balancing those combats in the first place. That sportsmanship for players, though, means that you should probably take the DM's quest hooks. If you feel like the DM's quest hooks aren't worth taking, if you think they're bad, then I say the same thing to you that I would say to DMs who think their players genuinely have an unbalanceable, overpowered build. Talk about it with the other person. Don't just take the passive-aggressive solution of not engaging in the game. Don't take the passive-aggressive solution of not shooting your monks, and don't take the passive-aggressive solution of not taking any DM quest hooks, because avoiding both means that the game is going to be a hell of a lot less fun. But yeah, that's the end of today's video. If you guys watched the whole thing, then please do leave the comment BAIT to let me know you made it all the way to the end of the video. And if you guys want to see more of our content, then you can check out this episode where we covered some really dumb advice on D&D TikTok. It's linked up in the cards. But before you go, please do leave a like on this one and subscribe to Crispy's Academy so you don't miss any of our content that comes out. And finally, if you want to get access to exclusive Discord, homebrew content, and vlogs, then you can check out our Patreon where you can directly support the channel and make these videos possible. In essence, like, comment, subscribe, support. I will see you all next time. Farewell. do that.